Hello, welcome back to our show. I am here with Gio, and things are going to take a little bit of a turn here. Instead of making Gio answer all the questions and me chiming in with my answers, it's going to be Gio's turn to pummel me with some questions in a segment we have named Ask the Host. You get to take a break this entire segment and do nothing but ask me questions and watch as I struggle to answer questions I have in no way prepared for because I don't know what they are.
This was amazing. I love being in power and control. I will use this to my advantage for as long as I possibly can.
Okay, William Shatner.
Ronald Acuna, who is having an incredible start to the season, we've seen in recent years that he's been capable of putting up ridiculous numbers. He almost came close a couple of years ago to the 40-40 club. So with this torrid start to the season for him, where do you think it brings the Braves in terms of team success?
I'll start on individual and then I'll go to team because I don't want my answer for team success to detract from what I think of what he's doing for himself, which is something historic. To start the year, he's batting 400. He's batting 430. His slugging percentage just finally dipped below 1,000 in 56 at bats. This is a fantastic player who's having the start and the season so far that we always knew he could have. And to be perfectly honest, that baseball deserves. Now, unfortunately, team success, different story. His team is under 500 because the rest of them can't figure out how to do anything. Some scores that they have recently put up: 4, 5 in a win, 7 in a win, 5, 8 in a loss. The problem is that, much like we found out with Tom Brady in the Super Bowl against the Eagles, Acuna can't do everything. He can't pitch. He can't bat for other people. This isn't a Bugs Bunny cartoon where he's the only batter. It won't prevent him from being the NL MVP, but they'll be Angels East at this rate. So the rest of the team has to get their stuff together because right now the Atlanta Braves are looking like the biggest flop in recent memory.
Yeah, it looks like their pitching is really the concern here. Because if you ever hit like Acuna, you're going to get the offense. But Max Fried has not looked like the person he was last year.
Ian Anderson.
I was just about to say Ian Anderson is completely 180 from the postseason. So the next question I have to ask you, Adam, is another known star recently hit the IL in Christian Yelich, 10-day lower back strain. It's usually not a big deal when, the player goes on the 10-day IL and he's out for a week or two, but Christian Yelich has had back problems before and back spasms. Should the Brewers be concerned about this?
Yes. Same reason the Dodgers should have been concerned when it came to Kershaw. He was a pitcher, so it was a little bit different. It was a lot more concerning because of the pitching motion, obviously, than it is for a batter and an outfielder. But at the same time, this is still a reoccurring issue. This has happened before. This, number one, should not have blindsided them because it's such – I don't want to say minor because it gives off the wrong impression, but it's not a serious issue in the way that a hamstring or a knee or an elbow is. It's back spasms. Like, there's a scale here. Back spasms are bad, but it's not the worst it could possibly be. But when it's something like that is that minor – it's also a nuisance problem. It's not like Tommy John surgery where you can have it and it's not a given that you're going to be ready in a year. It's not necessarily a given you'll be ready in a year. But at the same time, you can be pretty sure you don't really need to worry about having another Tommy John surgery. Once in a blue moon, that'll happen where someone needs two. With Yelich, it's like a gnat. It's like when you're out camping and all the mosquitoes keep flying around. You're going to get a bunch of them because they're so small and they just don't go away. There's no real way to treat it except to rest and massage and rest and massage and then hope to God it doesn't come back. It's the same idea as with pitchers. They're blisters. You can lance them. You can scrape them off. But the ball is still going to get held that way and your skin is still there. So a blister is going to come back. Back spasms. You're standing in the outfield most of the time, not really doing much unless your pitcher's having a really bad day. Is a lot of standing and then a lot of running, and then a lot of standing and then a lot of running. It's very difficult to keep back spasms from coming back is all I can really say. There's no way to know if it's going to stop. There's no way to know when it's going to start. The only thing the Brewers know at this point is that they paid Christian Yelich a lot of money, and he's got a recurring nuisance problem that is costing him games and costing the Brewers a legitimate shot at contending for the Central with Corbin Burns and Brandon Woodruff leading that rotation.
Speaking from personal experience, when I played football, I had a consistent back spasm problem. And I remember for a week, it was just really bad. I wasn't able to sit down without any aching pain. I had to take a bunch of Advil just to be able to move. And then it went away. But it came back. And then it went away. And it came back. And it went away. You get the point. I just, for me, from a personal standpoint, when I hear back spasms, it's concerning. He might still be a great player. And he still is. He's batting like .333 right now. But the problem is you're risking, as a team, your star player being out at random times for 2 weeks or more at a time. And it's not going to go away because you know what? Players age. Because you'll need to adjust everything. How you're at the plate, how you stand in the outfield, how you even attack balls. Going from one possible NL team to the other, Cody Bellinger has a hairline fracture in his left fibula, to be specific. And it seems though the Dodgers didn't need him against the Padres recently, but we all know that with San Diego looking as good as advertised, and now they got Fernando Tatis back, what do the Dodgers need to do with Bellinger out in order to keep up this momentum?
Fortunately for the Dodgers, they don't really have to worry too much. They've got a team up and down that roster that rakes. Bellinger is fantastic. I don't think anybody's going to dispute that. He won MVP. He's constantly hitting home runs. He's constantly hitting for average. He is one of the best players in the National League and always a front runner at this point for NL MVP. Thing is, the Dodgers have such a deep roster, it won't really affect them. Justin Turner's having a great start to the year. They're really wishing right now they hadn't traded Alex Verdugo. I guarantee you that much. But Kershaw is having a great comeback. Price is starting to figure out how to do things out in the bullpen, even with Kenley Jansen's issues. They got Price to back him up if they need to. They've got Gavin Lux, who's day-to-day. That's going to be a problem because that's their second baseman. But they still have Corey Seager at shortstop. Their infield is fine. The only thing they need to worry about, really, is getting in their own way with Kenley Jansen. Because if Kenley Jansen starts to falter, Roberts can't keep him as the closer. He can't have the loyalty issue of sticking with him. He's got to be able to make that move. And last season, he didn't make that move. He got lucky because the Rays ended up screwing themselves before the Dodgers did. But that was a move that should have been made. And it's just that's something more to be worried about than necessarily, as weird as it sounds, a leg issue for one of their star players, especially with Mookie Betts now. Mookie Betts can pick up the slack. I wouldn't have trusted Machado to pick up the slack, but I do trust Mets to pick up that slack.
Yeah, no, I agree completely. I think the Dodgers are one of those teams where they don't need to be too concerned when a star player is out for a certain amount of time because of how much depth they have. And we're not even talking about the fact that Andrew Friedman, the former Rays executive who's currently running Dodgers operations, they have a very deep and talented farm system. So even if somebody goes down, there's always somebody that's going to come right back up. So we mentioned before, a lot of these teams like the Red Sox, the Royals, the Mariners, the Mets, and the Reds have surprising leads in their respective divisions. Which of those teams do you see as the most legit to stay in contention?
I'm going to not let my bias get in the way here because I really want to say Kansas City, but I'm not gonna. They have a 0-run differential, and they're winning the league. Chicago will catch up. The most legit right now, no disrespect to Cincinnati, is the New York Mets. They've got the pitchers. They've got the hitters. There's really nothing they don't have except for a way to get Jacob deGrom run support.
Although, to be fair, their Rockies just lost, and Jacob deGrom did get a win.
Oh, my God, really?
So, yes, it is
possible. God, it happened.
Anything is possible.
Do you believe in miracles?
Yes. It only took, the 3-12 Rockies to finally get something going?
Only two teams worse than the Yankees are the Arizona Diamondbacks and the Colorado Rockies. You're welcome for that stat, Gio. But yeah, I don't really know how much I trust the Red Sox. I kind of, even though much I hate them, I want to say them, but more of me believes in the Mets. I have them going to the NLCS. At this point, they're not proving me wrong. I'm going to stick with them, and I'm going to say they are the real deal, staying consistent with my picks, but also just looking at that roster, I don't really see any holes.
Completely fair. I mean, I hate being, a non-debater here because I want to be a devil's advocate. But you mentioned a no differential in run support for Kansas City. The Red Sox rotation is going to be exposed by the time June hits. They're just hitting out of their minds right now. And Seattle's in a similar boat because they have great hitting and a lot of young prospects, but the pitching is a big question mark. And the Reds I just don't know what they are. I feel like it's too – Castellanos is playing really good, but –
I really wanted to say the Reds. They have a plus 27 run differential.
I really want to be like a Cincinnati, a homer, but like a supporter here. But I don't see it coming together. They're in a division where it's wide open unless Milwaukee continues to pitch like they are. But
I will say I think it seems to be the case that the Mets are the choice. But we so desperately want the Reds to be the choice.
I really do.
We want them to be the choice. Keep it going. Luis Castillo, Sonny Gray is back. Wade Miley's got a 0 ERA. Keep it going, Cincy. Get Joey Votto that title.
Listen, Nick Castellanos has been on a tear. It is remarkable what he's been doing so far. And if the rest of the offense follows, if Jesse Winker can stay on the field, if Nick Senzel can get his average over 250, if Eugenio Suarez can find that power from his 40 home run season 2 years ago, there's something there. Really is.
Jesse Winker's biggest issue is the shift.
It is.
Honest to God. If he can figure out how to hit opposite field, it won't be a problem. It's the only reason I didn't add him in fantasy is because he doesn't know how to hit against the shift. Yeah. Just bunt the ball. I guess that will do it for that will do it for Ask the Host. Okay. Hopefully I was able to live up to expectations, exceed them a little bit. Not sound like quite as much of an idiot as I normally do. We'll be back tomorrow to wrap up the week and, of course, give our final thoughts. We'll see you then.